Hello everyone, I'm Sean Hancox and welcome to Meshology's first tutorial, the first of many that collectively will teach you everything you need to know about digital modeling, texturing, rigging, and mapping, regardless of what your digital goal may be. We've assigned a difficulty level to each tutorial at the beginning, and you can find out more about the criterion we used at meshology.guru. These tutorials speak directly to you and are intended to be run in a workshop environment, so we hope you take the time to find out more about Meshology, ask questions, or make suggestions. For now, let's find out more about geografting.
Geografting is a way of welding an additional mesh on top of the mesh of a base figure, if that makes sense.
Why would you want to do that?
Yeah, you would want to do that when you're modeling appendages. You want to fit them seamlessly onto your base figure, because I can show you something here. I was going to use this as the example. This is a skull, obviously, and this is a horn piece. And this horn piece was a geograft I created. You could also go ahead and make this an auto-conforming piece, but you would have to blend the transition between the skull and this horn. So when you do this the normal way, you would need a transmap. And you see that shadow here.
Mm-hmm.
This, and up here and here. This can get worse. This really depends on your lighting, what HDRI you're using, and what sort of different light sources. So this will be visible to a degree that it can get really obvious. And I have a texture here with some noise and turbulence, so it's not that obvious. But imagine this would be a very clean and white bone texture, then it's really visible. As opposed to what you do with a geograft. You see this? That's the difference.
Wow.
But yeah, you can run into a couple of issues because sometimes geografting doesn't work right away. You get problems. This is the mesh view of a grafted mesh. Maybe you can see this slight color difference here. This is a bit darker than this area.
Oh yes,
here.
yes, yeah.
Yeah, but you will really have to squint to find it actually. So this is my base mesh and the graph mesh at base resolution. But I think this is one of the most common mistakes that can happen. When you set both meshes to subdivision 1, you get these ugly gaps here. This here, it's really creating an edge, and here at the sharp corners you really see it. So this is something I ran across when I did my own geografts for my current project. I found this in tutorial videos. I followed step by step to create my grafts and ended up with this. I then didn't know what was going on. And with a lot of experimentation and help from my fellow vendors at the DAZ forums, I finally found out what was going on, and it was one of these eureka moments.
So geografting, just to clarify, so geografting is a way to create a new mesh or add a new mesh within DAZ, right?
No. You don't create a new mesh in DAZ. You don't really have the tools for this. You can modify meshes, but you use... Let me just go in a little bit closer here. What you do is you use your base mesh, in this case the skull mesh here, this part of the skull. You extract a piece of that mesh in base resolution, and then you delete everything but this outer loop of this copied area. And then model your graft piece on it. You need that overlapping outer loop of polygons to graft this to the skull. So grafting has a lot of different benefits. For one, obviously the seams disappear when they weld. The graft follows the base mesh's resolution, so when I change this to subdivision, the graft follows. I don't have to set this individually. You can then later texture over the seams and transitions in a projection paint software to make the transition absolutely invisible. There's also a slight degree of texture blending involved when the graft works, and the graft will also follow morphs. So it has some traits of an auto-fitting item, but it goes a bit beyond that.
Does it have its own material zones?
Yeah, of course, it has its own material zones. You can rig it independently. When it appears in the hierarchy, it appears as a separate figure. You can even build ERC control dials and whatnot into it.
Wow.
So it has its own poly groups for rigging. So it's an interesting concept. I really like it. And the one thing it also does, it hides the underlying polygons of the skull here, or whatever base figure you have. So you really do not see that there is a different piece attached. I can show you how this looks when I load the... Well, where are we? Here are the horns. Just keep your eye on this area here. I'm just loading this as I would load an auto-fitting item. Wham! Did you see anything happen?
Wow.
And here it is. Here's the horns Geograft. So I think the applications are numerous. Imagine building a chimera-like creature with the body of an animal and the torso of a human. Things like that. So when I delete this, I have my old skull back. No problem.
I guess the easiest analogy that I can think of is, when you go to buy a car, there's usually 6 or 7 different models of the same car. Some have different kinds of wheels, some have spoilers, some have what a friend of mine calls go-fasters, which is all the trim that goes on the car. But the base vehicle remains the same. And Geografts act just exactly like that. It's which options do you want to come along with this model?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I could model all the add-ons for this skull or other body parts I want. I could model a head fin, more horns, whatever I like, and I can do this with every body part. Just have to follow a few simple steps, and the order of these steps is important so I don't get these really, really ugly holes in it.
Yeah. So, can you just clarify for me? So, when you add a geograph, basically, you've made a loop around a series of quads that you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you add the geograph, does it remove the quads that's underneath it, and actually weld it in place where those quads came from?
It does, and that's part of the process I'm going to show, because when you
Wow.
create a geograft, you are assigning the loop polygons for the grafting, where the two pieces should seamlessly join, and then you assign the polygons which should automatically be hidden when the geograft is welded to the base. So I think just get started with this. First I'm importing my horns. My horn cap. I modeled this in hexagon, of course. Here we are. Here it is. Here's my horns, and you can see... Oof, it's a bit slow. You can see these overlapping polys here. This is the outer loop here. So, and looks pretty good. Looks like they are matching seamlessly. Okay, now the first step I have to do is I have to turn my horns into a subdividing item. I'm going to do this through edit figure geometry, convert to sub-D. Whoop, here we are. You see here the same I got on the faulty Geograft. But here in this case it's okay, that's just the way we want it, because these horns are still a prop, they're not fitted or welded to anything. Then I will have to make this prop an auto-fitting item. I'm going to use my transfer utility, use the skeleton as the base, the horns as the target. Not going to change anything else, just click on accept.
No projection template?
Well, it uses the projection maps of the underlying skull.
Okay.
So, no. Yeah, it switched the horns back to base resolution, which is okay. I want it that way. But to be completely sure, I'm setting my sub-D level to 0 here in the graph to be, and also in my base figure. And this is the important step. You have to do this before you start assigning polygons. If you don't, you might end up with these gaps. So I'm going to move on now to my geometry editor to start assigning polygons. I'm going to show you a small trick to work with selection sets too. Because I'm lazy, I don't want to draw the same selection twice. I'm switching on my symmetry. I need my X or X. What do you say in Canada? X or
X. X.
X. X. X. Yeah. I'm going to take my time here. You see, it's selecting on the other side as well, so that's proof my symmetry works. When I want to add a selection, I hold my control key and drag. Now I selected one polygon too much. When I want to delete it, I click Alt and click on this polygon and then go on around the edge here. So see, now my viewport is moving considerably faster because I switched the resolution of the mesh. Yeah, it's a bit tricky to get all the right ones, but I've done this so many times now. I've got some practice. This is the fiddly part up here.
You want just a single row of quads, right?
Yeah, it's just outside this graft area here. Just bordering on the outer edge of the graft. And you need those to be correct. Okay, almost done. Almost. Okay, but now I'll check because I know I've built an asymmetry into this horn cap. Also, it's good for people who build symmetrical meshes to check if they got the correct polygons. So, just deleting the ones I don't need with my Alt click and then picking those I want. Oh, didn't get everything. Okay, so now I have everything I need. These yellow highlighted polygons.
So that's a loop. That's a loop right around the geograph, right?
Yeah, that's the. I call it a border because it's not exactly a real loop. Oh, see, I forgot one here. And what I'm now going to do, because it makes my life easier, and you know I'm lazy, I'm creating a new selection set here. Click on this, then right-click, create selection set. I'm going to call this graft, because these are the faces who are going to be used for the graft. Right-click on this new group and say Assign Selected to List. Now, this is just to be able to hide these polygons later on and then add them again. But what I'm doing now with my right-click and my geometry assignment is the crucial part for the graft. Because I'm saying set graft faces for attachment. I'm getting this pop-up here, and it only gives me the horns, because that's the only other object present in this scene. And I'm going to click accept.
So if there was multiple graphs in the scene, it would give you different options?
Well, if there were multiple objects in this scene, yes.
Okay.
Because it doesn't naturally know that it's supposed to pick this one here.
Okay.
So now I want to select the polygons which I want to hide. So if you want to, you can make them invisible now.
Mm-hmm.
Or just
Nice. Clever.
say geometry visibility hide selected polygons. Does this hello should do the same? I'm a bit clumsy today. Oh, what's this? Now I somehow managed to delete my selection set. That's nice. Oh no, I didn't delete. I just... Okay, now I've managed to... Maybe we can cut that part. That's embarrassing. Show all polygons. But you get the idea how this works. So I'm deselecting this. Now I want only the polygons inside this border ring.
Right.
I'm selecting one here, holding control, selecting another one here, and going to deactivate symmetry. Then I'm just saying select connected. Whoop.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's what I mean when I say I'm lazy.
Hmm.
I'm creating another selection set. This one is named hide. And I'm assigning my selected polygons. Now these selection operations are completely independent of my geometry assignments for the graft. This is just for me checking if I got the complete area of polygons and the correct border area. So these polygons naturally should be set as auto hide faces for attachment because we do not want to see them.
Okay.
When we add the graft, when we fit the graft. Done that. Again, select the horns for the future graft. Click on accept. Now we are done. Going to clear the selection and I'm going to show all polygons. I'm going to unhide my horns, which are at this point fitted to the skeleton. So I'm going to do one thing. You have to unfit them and then refit them for the graft to work. I've unfitted them and now I am refitting them.
Mm-hmm.
So not much seems to happen, right?
Right.
That's because we are still in this geometry editor mode. But when we switch, say, to the universal tool, that changes.
Hmm.
Yep, the geometry editor hides fitted grafts, so you can see all the polygons involved, even the ones that it should be hiding. You see, it's... Oh, I picked too much here. I would have to go back. I'd have to do the assignment again. How did that happen? Stupid me. Ah, I see. See? The hide polys select a bit of the border here.
Hmm.
This wasn't good. So I'm going to just pick them. It's a bit too much. Yeah. These belong here. Okay. Selection clear. Okay. Oh, that's weird. There's a bit too much in here. That's crazy. I did the wrong assignment. I think I need to Yeah.
So you're hitting, when you hit minus, it removes it from the set?
No, it doesn't, because I need to right click and say remove selected from set.
Okay.
Then it does. Okay, but when you click on them, you should get the red highlighted area here. And for this one, oh, see, that's the problem. The height area has these inside and they shouldn't be here. Remove. Oh, I always have to clear the selection to see. Yeah, now it looks right. The red area is underneath the skull cap, so this is the way I want this to be. Oh, come here, you. Come here. I like to unparent this. I'm not only unfitting this, I'm also unparenting it to be completely on the safe side.
Okay.
Because I'm still not really sure which factors play into this whole thing, and I read in a few tutorials that having the graft parented to the base can also cause some issues. But in my opinion, it should be just unfitted. Oh, there's still... Yeah, I think I would have to go back and do the whole thing again.
Because of that
yeah,
set of that line there, yeah.
Yeah, but
Gap.
now just let's concentrate on this side because this is the pretty one, because I wanted to show that this graft actually does work. When I'm dialing up the resolution, the graft should follow. Okay, yay! So apart from my little gap, I will have to redo this whole assignment thing. It works. Ah, now I know what I did wrong. I'm a bit
Can we
stupid.
see from inside the skull that the quads are gone, or no?
The quads are not gone, they're just hidden. They still exist.
Okay.
Wait, I'm going to fix this little thing here. Yeah, the plus just means you're selecting this, so you don't have to click on right click, select polygons, blah blah blah. Select these. Going back here. Yeah, this plus minus just removes the selections. That's all it does.
Okay.
Okay. So let's try this again. Okay. Yep. But I think I might be getting some issues now. No, I'm not. Okay, that's surprising. So, yeah, here we are. You see, the nice thing with geografting is that you don't have to take care of setting your mesh resolution in the graft. It does it all for you. When you modify it in the base, then it works in the graft as well. And about your question about where are the polygons, the hidden ones, and then we go to... Oh, that looks funky. This is lit wireframe, so when I was hoping that I might actually see the polygons inside the horns, but I don't. So in this mode they are invisible, but they are still there. They are not gone. It's just that this welding or grafting function hides them. That's all. Yeah, that's geografting. And these are the steps you have to do this. First, import your object. Turn it into a subdivided mesh. Use the transfer utility to make it auto-fitting to your base. Then set the resolution of both the base mesh and the new graft to base 0. Start assigning the polygons on the outside the outer edge of the graft's edge to be the grafting polygons, and then select the polygons inside you want hidden as the hidden polygons. Then unfit your new graft, refit your new graft, switch to a different tool like the universal translator to view your graft in action, and then as a test dial up the mesh resolution. Because when things don't work, the base will subdivide but the graft will not. And then when you're done, you can just save this as a completely normal figure asset. Like here, figure or prop asset. Don't forget to parent it to your base figure. Give it a proper name and then save it.
That's great.
Yeah, and very, very useful. Once you are done, once you've saved this, you can now start correcting weight maps, because I'm pretty sure the horns will do some interesting things when we bend the skull here. Need to try this. Oh, you see the horns? Yeah, that was, I would really be surprised if it would have complied at the first attempt. So that is because when we look at the weight map for the skull, where are we? Ooh, here we are. Hello?
I'm still here, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, you're
no,
talking to DAZ.
Yeah, it sometimes needs a little bit of encouragement.
Oh, look,
You
it
see
just
this?
falls right off, eh?
Yeah, this needs to be painted in. I can either manually paint it or, as I said, I'm lazy. I'm going to just
Phil?
fill selected. Oh, you know me too well. Ta-da! So, and what I did then, I assigned polygon groups to the left horn, to the right horn, added bones so they can be moved. Can do all that sort of stuff. So it's basically like a piece of auto-fitting clothing with a few benefits.
So the horns must appear separately as a model item that's added to the model, is that right?
Yeah, you see it here. This is the Geograft horns. These are the ones I already rigged. Yeah.
Okay, it comes up as an accessory, yeah.
Yes. No, that depends on the way you're saving it. This doesn't have anything to do with the nature of this graft.
Okay.
It's because I thought, oh, gone, both of them. Fine. Because I thought it would be best to save them as an accessory, because I didn't know what else to do with them, what to call them. I went here. I hope I don't overwrite them by accident. Yes, I know. That's something for you who knows the CMS. I set the content type as follower, accessory. You can also say attachment or head, skull, but I don't know. I picked this accessory.
Follower existed in their drop-down list. You didn't add that though. You didn't add follower. It was there to begin with, right?
No. It just said follower, and that was it. I think it didn't have any categorization.
Okay.
It had a little tag here that said follower with a question mark, because it wasn't sure what it was doing with this strange thing. But maybe a better categorization would be attachment, head, skull. I don't know. I'm just going to leave it now as it is right now. But this finished piece has thousands of bones, obviously. Where are my horns? Where are the bones of the horns? Ah, I'm in the wrong folder here. You see left horn, right horn. When I go to the joint editor, you also see the two bones here. Yeah. And when I go into the figure, I have controls in here which can move the horns. It's a bit funny. I can wiggle them to the sides, I can twist them. I can move them up and down.
Neat.
All just done with the normal rigging procedures. Putting in bones, creating child bones, assigning weight maps, creating these styles through ERC freeze. Yeah. So that's it. Bit more lengthy than I had anticipated. Just wanted to talk about geografting and maybe help a few people out there who have been as desperate as I have been, because I've been trying to get this to work for 3 or 4 days and was ready to give up. It was such a pain until I stumbled across you have to set both the base and the graft to base resolution 0 before you start assigning the polygons. Oops. Okay.
It looks great. I can certainly see uses for it.
Yeah, I'm going to use it a bit more in the future. For wings and fishtails and something. Not for this.
Spurs or like spurs on the shins.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to work on this anymore, but maybe when people want to attach wings to a back of a figure of Genesis maybe, and horns to her skull or ridges to her nose. You know, sometimes I think you could probably compare Geograft to prosthetics used in movie makeup. Seamless blending when it's really done well.
Yeah. That would be interesting, trying to model a face that way.
You mean you have a base face and then you add something like a Klingon forehead crests and something like that? Yeah, that would be an idea for a product.
Yes, because then it would react to the change in the shape of the face.
Yeah, and to the movement of the bones. What you can also do with Geograft, which is otherwise impossible, you can punch holes into a mesh. Just imagine you're taking a loop here from this side of the skull and the other side, and then you model a tunnel through. Yeah, because it hides the polygons underneath, you suddenly have an opening in a body. Can imagine all sorts of really weird uses for that kind of thing. So just your imagination is the limit. I've not experimented with this any further. I don't know if you can graft a graft to a graft. Maybe you can, I don't know. And I don't know what happens if you decided to add a graft to the boundary here between this first graft and the skull. I think that would work, because as you saw, you can probably just assign polygons to one single piece. Maybe you can do it, have 2 separate polygon selections. Well, all of this is probably material for experimentation for the future.
Nice, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's a bit stumbly, but I hope you got the idea and the procedure.
I do, yes. Okay. I liked your rundown of the steps too. So there you go. We hope you learned something new. See you next time. Bye.
Thank you all. Bye. you.